Number 2. What will the adaptation be is our question right here. And Gen.G will now have at least the red side. So a little bit more information has to be given from DAMWON, at least until the final pick. It's Tahm ban.
Nico ban, I think, is a cool one here. It's against Cuvée, who, of course, has played plenty of the on-hit Nico in the LCK already. Was the first to play top lane Nico when she was discovered in solo queue, and he translated straight away doing his best Gnar impression as a famous Gnar player. And I wonder if he just jumps on something like Gnar this game, as the Nico ban is to push him further and further off comfort and find Noguri, the counter pick to just take him down in lane.
Well, Tahm-Kench and Sejuani being banned means that Yuumi hasn't been banned yet, and I'm getting nervous. She's going to be banned on the blue side. DAMWON don't want to see it.
Something that the DAMWON supports have been practicing, but they don't want to first pick it, I guess, in this case, or deal with what the flow-on effect must be. So let's see what they prize, because it could have been Yuumi, as far as we can tell. Final ban here. A lot of flex champions that were big at MSI are available. Only Ryze has been banned of the big 5.
Yeah, and do they ban the Aatrox here? 4 seconds to go. Because if they don't ban it, Nuguri's definitely going to run it back into Cuvée and possibly just straight up win as well, which would be very sad. Aurelia, though, had to be banned away as well. Another champion that has seen a ban every single game so far here in the LCK.
Canyon has played this in the jungle as well, we should note, and I imagine Showmaker could always consider it, so not going to be full information about the Aatrox location, but Nuguri plays with his tail up, so I think you had the right read there, Atlas.
Yeah, sort of assuming that he was playing it, but you're right. I think that mid Aatrox is certainly something that has been seeing a little bit more play as well.
And the jungle, I think, is fine as well.
Yep, true.
Because you don't have to deal with the fact that the laning phase isn't as strong as it once was. Gen.G, the Sylas part makes sense, but they're actually heavily considering very early rotation on the Ezreal. We watched Ezreal kind of misfire in the first game, where Ruler had a good game, but the champion wasn't. It's pretty ineffectual, all things considered. How DWG Gaming approaches second draft. No Sona ban, but Sona Taric could be taken here, right? And as a duo, if they wanted to go down that route, doesn't appear like they're going to be loading up for it just yet. It's going to be Nuclear falling back onto the Essence Reaver favorite in the 7th.
Yep, Rek'Sai going to be locked in there as well. No surprises, still very strong coming out of the jungle. Here is the Rek'Sai. Hasn't been seeing as much priority as it has in the LCS. I believe highest played jungler in the LCS at the moment. Olaf is certainly preferred over in the LPL, but she's still very, very strong. Sivir also going to be taken for the second time here today, as Skarskana is being considered, and Peanut is going to lock that one away somewhere. Captain Flowers is very happy.
And I'm really happy to see this. You know, I was actually calling for it in the early parts of MSI, because we saw very clearly from the LCS, the Skarner versus Rek'Sai interaction, how good Skarner is in the matchup, but many other regions weren't touching Skarner. They didn't feel prepped enough for it. Matchup means that if you don't go full damage as Rek'Sai, you might not even get a 1-for-1, and in most cases you just kind of dive in and die, right? Because Skarner just makes you accountable after you've gone in as the Rek'Sai. So it's a very Skarner favorite interaction, post-6 especially, unless they're not on the ball. Support Luck's going to be banned in the draft here.
Respecting the Civil Lux combo.
And I think it's also respecting how much form Beryl is in. We mentioned it during game number 1, but rank 2 solo queue right now is Beryl. Very mechanically talented. The champion we saw him perform on best was actually Alistar in previous patches, so I don't know if Alistar will make her return. His return is Sivir. you impressed by his mechanics, much more the dogged split push playstyle. Cuvée is a split pusher.
Yeah.
At heart and pass. Yes, famous for Maokai team fighting, but he played a lot of Gnar and Fiora and other metas. He's going to go past it, though, and he's going to go for the thing that really benefits Gen.G more in his eyes, which is, I'll deal with the Aatrox and I'll ult bot lane, and hopefully Ruler can get advantages from the Cannon Barrage.
Yeah, he's going to say sorry for, you know, the fact that an Aatrox is going to be 40 CS ahead of him. However, Ruler's going to be having a much better time. And if that's the case, then you certainly understand exactly why Gen.G are thinking about this. I'm just a little bit sad that their playstyle has not evolved at all. Ever.
A lot of old dogs, you know,
yeah,
on
man.
the side of Gen.G. Only Life is the young player on this roster. The rest have been around for a while, and like you say, Gen.G, Samsung Galaxy have always flown the white flag in the early game and then won the game eventually. Doesn't feel like the meta. Has to do that for a while, and Korea has had rude shock after rude shock, but it should be mild shock for anyone that Gen.G are still playing it slow. Maybe DWG Gaming are that team you look at and say, this is the team to fly the new flag on, because they're still trying things whenever they get the chance.
Exactly. But DWG are going to continue to have a lot more onus on them as far as early game pressure is concerned. However, I trust them. I trust them to be able to actually follow that through. However, if it was Gen.G that was piloting early game champions, I would not be quite as confident. However, they do have a lot of scaling options here in this game, so if they do make it on relatively even footing into a later stage of the game, then I'm going to feel much better in Game 2 than I did in Game 1.
Doesn't feel like this one was decided at draft, which at least bodes well for Gen.G, who really got nothing going in game number 1.
Waiting for that, the explosion of Gen.G fans here. So many here in Korea absolutely love this team.
Wow,
so many notable players on this squad as well.
I hadn't heard that chime before. It was very exciting.
Yeah. I just love the fact that we've got the LCK logo in the sky.
With
it's
diamonds?
the simple things. LCK in the sky with diamonds?
Sounds good to me.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
what album was that from?
We're going to throw the budget in there and we can record that one out this week.
Yeah, oh man.
You got the Elton voice going, right?
I mean, Elton voice may not necessarily be a John Lennon voice, but we'll see what we can do.
Elton, John Lennon. Get it in there. Get the
That's
classics in there.
I don't even know whether John sang that song. It might have been Paul. I don't know. My Beatles knowledge isn't necessarily all the way up
What
there.
do we pay you for?
Not Beatles knowledge. I think yelling a lot, saying pentakill when Sherman gets one is how it works. And I can also talk about Peanuts starting here on the Crimson Brambleback.
Red side start for both junglers. No leashes, given the Shen in lane. I can understand not wanting to give up lane control. Ezreal can do very well if he gets first access to level 2.
Yep. Shen got a couple of buffs just recently. A little bit of attack speed, and his taunt does a little bit more damage and scales a little bit better when it comes to that health scaling that it does have for itself. We have a bevy of runes.
Yeah, we like to vomit it out there, and you can pause it if you want to pick up some of the specifics here. I like giving all its full information. And speaking of full information, is Hail of Blades from Canyon. That fell away as the MSI dragged on. It was much more Conqueror for the extended long team fights. I feel like Conqueror is very unlikely to do much when Skarner's involved, because you just get suppressed and die very often as a Rek'Sai, but this means the early ganks are stronger, and it means that Cannon can maybe just snowball through the early game, where Skarner's more interested in farming.
Yeah, and we actually saw from Clid, you know, he was the Hail of Blades Rek'Sai at MSI, and he did absolutely disgusting things. On the champion, it was a bit of a hard carry from him for the first few games for SKT until they got themselves together before the knockout stage.
Laning-wise, feels like DWG should have good options. Aatrox will nebulously have priority on TP, like every champion in the early game, sort of maybe Poppy or Shen.
Yep.
So it's going to be a nice pushing lane for Noguri. I like LeBlanc into Silas a lot, unless some summoners can be blown or something like that. Shouldn't be solo kill pressure by any means in the early laning phase, but for now at least DWG push up, and Rek'Sai says, well, I got a pretty much free pass till a little bit later in the game.
Yep, and those Rift Stuffers have spawned now, a little bit later. This patch, if you guys have been under a rock for a little while, but Canyon does take it and is now thinking about a dive onto Cuvée.
Rek'Sai was always a Krug murderer, so the changes to the level 3 junglers didn't affect her too much. Yep. Looking for this turret dive, and GP obviously eminently squishy, out of corrupting potions as well, as the last one is being chugged.
Yeah, has gone through his most recent biscuit as well. Not sure when that delivery is actually going to come in next.
Not doing it, says the Rek'Sai wants to go pick up a Krug camp on the bot side, so giving up this one. Feel didn't fancy this time, did DWG Gaming?
Yep, and I don't blame them either, as Juve has already been doing a decent job actually in this lane. Nuguri not at full health would have been a potentially dangerous thing to try and do. So far, Peanut's just been hard farming. He's actually a couple of camps ahead of Canyon at this point.
It's
going back and getting the Chilling Smite already.
Drawn the ire of a lot of fans. There was a timely comment in the post-game for game number 1 about how it doesn't feel like he gets the value out of the different jungle picks. He's very much focused on farming, kind of in spite of his pick at times. And
one of the comments was my favorite, which was he plays every champion like Sejuani, which I think there's an element of truth to it.
I was alluding to that one without saying it out loud, but I like the fact that you caught up just because you couldn't really argue too much about it, and it's... You know, I came into MSI, and when we saw Lee Sin, like, I was like, wow, Lee Sin action. I'm like, well, I mean, you know, often the Lee Sins can just farm up to level 6. But then we had good old Ning ganking mid lane at 3 minutes 30 and smiting a ranged minion to get the backline. And you think, yeah, that's a Ning move. And then you think, that's Peanut in 2016. But it's just not Peanut these days, right? And that's what you feel like the tool set is still there on champions like Lee Sin. And yeah, the value is not coming out from players like Peanut.
Not so much. However, they did lead themselves to a world's victory, playing a similar style to this did Gen.G. It's not like Ambition was exactly the most aggressive jungler in the world.
A lot more wards back in those days, Atlas. All those wards are gone, and so has Gen.G's favorite. Canyon has to get out, actually. His life could have got a solo kill.
He could have. Barrel's going to make his way up, though, and this means that Peanut's actually looking to try and control this dragon.
Huh, we really want to get in on this one.
Yep. Peanut should be able to get this smite down, as you can see. Oh, so many skill shots landing there as Peanut's trying to create distance. Not able to get himself over as Ruler is basically out of this fight. The dragon is going to reset for the moment, but Abscond is going to work out here for Kuzan life. He's going to stand on the Crystal Spire as well, so Peanut's going to be able to pull out this dragon. And it will be Gen.G grabbing the first objective on the map and evening out the goal.
Gen.G fans ecstatic, still super loud here in game number 2 after game 1 destruction. DWG were just a bit too bold in staying on the objective for a long time. They had reason to be. Showmaker was level 6 and still involved while they drew a teleport out of Kuzan. But even then, they were still eventually forced away. Early Drake take of the Cloud is pretty happy news for Peanut, as all those long swords, less happy news for Juve.
Yeah, Kuzan has actually walked up, and I don't think that there was too much vision down apart from that ward that you can see relatively close to the lane. But with Nuguri actually underneath the turret, it can be a rough time.
No eyes.
Is caught out.
No eyes on Rek'Sai, and it'd be a pretty trivial kill if the Rek'Sai showed up, so you can kind of understand. Just chucking down the cannon barrage. It might be on a cannon minion wave as well. I wouldn't think it would help. Yep. Would make sense for that to be the time you chose.
And also wants to go back and buy a Sheen as quickly as possible, right? So he's going to be able to do that. Peanut, bit of a drive-by here as Kuzan's going to pick himself up a Distortion.
And Peanut got level 6 first, many camps ahead of the Rek'Sai who didn't get the Drake, and that's actually important, Atlas, because we talked about how you want to make those inroads and change the game state early as Rek'Sai, given that Skyner eventually just suppresses you for days. And you might say, yeah, whatever, just pick up a QSS. Then actually you don't have the Black Cleaver or the first damage item to complement your Warrior enchant, and then you don't do very much as Rek'Sai either. So you're kind of with heavy onus on making things happen, because both the fallback mechanics of QSS or not QSS feel bad for the Rek'Sai.
Precisely. Not to mention that the Rek'Sai is falling behind in farm, which is a little bit crazy. I know that Skarner rips through the jungle, that is absolutely true, but Rek'Sai is no slouch in that department either.
She was ganking, and she was taking down the Drake. That's the point we're getting to, and yeah, all those things together, without getting the ganks off, without getting the Drake, is just falling behind.
Well, see whether Peanut is going to utilize his Predator and his ultimate soon. I wouldn't hold your breath. Everyone at home.
Does Juve find time to build an Executioner's Calling? Is an interesting question against the Aatrox. Has a lot of healing and now has the Fam Scepter done already. It's always one of those things where you build Executioner's Calling and then don't have your Trinity Force for the time you kind of want it, and you don't get the CDR and you're old and it feels really bad, or
Yeah, and you're wondering whether or not it's actually worth it.
But there's moments like this where it's like, ah, that hurt a lot. The second time that happens, he dies.
If he has an Executioner's Calling, that still happens, by the way.
It's true.
Uh-oh. Might happen again, as there's another Q cooldown. This is really, it's bad news, QV, but that's going to be up again very soon.
Well, here we go.
See whether Noguri is actually going to press that R button. You can see a cheeky little ward is going to spot Canyon out as he makes his way over. So QV going to play very defensively, but Turret Plates and Noguri, name a more iconic duo. Foxmithy is very good at getting as many as he wants. Those passive threads are going to be hurting QV more and more, especially after the buffs. As, that barrel is at least going to land. Canyon's just looking for a way to utilize his Hail of Blades and now finds his way in. QV, not exactly a huge help by the flash forward. And that is going to be the reset this time around. Canyon's not going to fall, and that's more Turret Plates for the very hungry Aatrox. True shot barrage.
Go on top. It's not going to kill Noguri, of course.
Nope. And look at all that health that he managed to get back.
I just realized something awesome.
What's that?
Do you know why Noguri ulted?
Why?
To keep the duration of the bonus stats longer.
So that he could get more Turret Plates?
Yes!
Yes!
That's my boy, Noguri.
That's some Noguri decision-making right there.
This is the same guy that was the first to beat the on-hit Nico by going full Magic Pen Rise.
Yep.
He takes the Comets. He's a beautiful soul, Noguri.
He's just an incredible player.
Always be yourself, Noguri. I hope his parents told him that, and he took it to heart. He's like, all right, I'm just going to play carries forever.
Saddest thing would be is if he joined Gen.G and then they made it boring. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer for Gen.G is just try to get Noguri out of his contract and put him onto the team to teach everyone how to play aggressively.
I've just never seen a player pop the ult just to have AD from
It's so funny. Well, I mean, what else does the ult really do?
That's fair. That's fair. And lane nothing.
Yeah.
Really.
So that gives you a bit of movement speed for catching up to QV.
To get to another turret play.
Hey, there we go. Well, he's got 3 of them so far, Papa, and it's about 600 gold to lead for DWG Gaming, despite the fact that Gen.G have had a kind of early game this time around. Peanut has his Cinderhulk completed. Warrior is also done now for Canyon, who isn't too far behind after that first blood did go his way.
Showmaker's sad that he's never going to get any jungle attention. The jungler's going topside, just buys QSS in order to not die to a Skarner camp. Speaking of Skarner, SOS to Peanut. We need to see something happen aggressively soon. Speak of the devil.
He's going to wander on over and find Canyon here. He's actually thinking of diving in onto Kuzan. He's going to get snared up. That's a great knock up there as Stange United comes down onto Canyon as well. Life diving on forward, Cannon Barrage there, so Gen.G playing the defensive game well. They're going to get 1 kill. Kuzan now looking for more. Showmaker, his relatively squishy Noguri. Very scary, but is a little bit late for that flank.
They get a kill, they drag Noguri out of lane and stop dunking on QV for a moment. That's a good moment here for Gen.G. It looked like Peanut will be out of position because he was actually taking the Spire as the gank started, but not enough damage to complete the kill. Gen.G walk down, and the neutrals at least are going Gen.G's way. Nothing going their way in game number 1, so this is a nice turn of fate for Gen.G.
Yep, a couple of Cloud Drakes aren't exactly the best, but it's not too bad either as Kuzan to get that abscond over the top, and Showmaker is struggling just a little bit. He's still ahead in CS, of course, but a few of those stats aren't necessarily being super utilized in the lane itself, as the QSS was, of course, invested in. Having a look down the line as far as Kuzan and what he's actually going to be opting in for as far as ultimates are concerned, I guess World Ender, not exactly a great one, but Void Rush could be great. Coming out of Canyon gives you a little bit more untargetability for Silas, and we know that he really does enjoy that. Stand United is another one that can be utilized very, very well from the Silas in a more utility type way.
And if you have enough AP, you can do an Alistair impression with the World Ender, right? And just get in there.
Yeah, true.
So, could be important as the team goes on. Speaking of Kuzan.
Yeah, that's a proactive play, actually coming down underneath the enemy turret in order to get Stand United. I like it.
And remember,
so he can
Stand
save
United has that massive AP ratio, so it's actually something that you get way more value than Shen does when you steal away that ultimate. Does it better there? Noguri's fed again.
Yeah, I've seen this before, Pablo. He's almost 2,000 gold ahead.
You do wonder why they don't just play around his lane every time.
Yeah, I mean, we had like the cheat sheet for Keen, right? It was kill Keen.
Noguri's a better laner than Keen.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there.
Keen is a better League of Legends player because it's more than just laning.
And team fighting, yeah.
And Nogari is not so hot on those ones, but laning-wise, Nogari is immaculate. Wonderful player to watch. Great stream to watch. Scary, absolutely. But it's the other areas of the game that he has a lot to work on. However, why don't you just baby it, let him play for his own lane, and you know what? That'll win you games.
Yep. And right now you got Nuclear happily underneath his turret. Just going to be able to ricochet these minions down. Boomerang Blade flies forward. Ruler can't find too much more. He does have his Manamune already completed, but Essence Reaver is done for Nuclear as well. So probably the champion with the most benefit from that item is the Sivir, because being able to spam your abilities is just so good for wave clear. Coming out of Sivir. Kuzan and Showmaker still just trading farm in this mid lane. Slight advantage to Showmaker, but otherwise Kuzan has been keeping the LeBlanc down relatively effectively, which I have been impressed by. But the problem is the map is getting smaller and smaller as this game goes on. Right now, Gen.G only have one quadrant of their jungle with only one turret down, which is just really scary amounts of pressure that Nogari's been able to put on.
And what did we say about Aatrox in game number 1, where Aatrox looked very balanced? The laning phase not so good for the Aatrox, but man, if you get team fights with your items, pretty strong.
Yeah.
He's team fight ready already, and yes, Nogari is the biggest when it comes to TPs into team fights, but in this case, he's got the champion to do it, and he's got a lead.
Yeah. I'm really scared. I'm really scared for what Gen.G is going to be able to do here. QSS is done for Canyon. That's the second one to come in. Surprising that it's from the jungler, but
if you don't buy it, you don't really do anything where you don't snowball. However, with the nerfs that Rek'Sai has received over time, going to be mostly about Tremor Sense and maybe finishing off one member and inevitably dying. So it's not going to be huge.
Speaking of Tremor Sense, that is Kuzan getting stunned up. The Mimic Chain is not going to land. Still, Kuzan is going to die. The flash comes out of Showmaker because he was scared of the turret, but that is ultimately going to put him in the lead as far as kills, and DAMWON should be able to follow it up with even more by taking this turret.
Just taking over Peanut's topside jungle, so he gets rotated through his Nogari. Ult here, very useful. Does mean they won't lose mid lane turret, but having no control of that topside jungle is why they could approach from so many different angles.
Yep. Gen.G able to use their defensive cannon barrage, though, to at least hold on to that outer turret in the mid lane. That is certainly good news as Peanut looking for the Predator. Canyon does use the QSS, and the Impale was nullified. Not entirely sure who wins when it comes to the cooldown battle between those abilities, because Peanut isn't quite level 11 just yet.
I think it's a big loss because now the people without QSS can walk up to Skarner that couldn't before. That, to me, is a team communication issue. That should always be communicated. You can't have every player not press tab since that purchase and not notice it, but it seems like that's what happened on the side of Gen.G, so disappointing from them. Nogari continues to be a jerk. He wants to farm up everything.
He just doesn't care about Cube's damage either. You saw that was Cube that was able to break that barrel, but Nogari has so much healing now with the Death Stance as well as just being Aatrox that it's...
Isn't it a pleasure how much he min-maxes, how he aggroes the minion wave and the Krugs together so he farms both of them with AoE? Nogari's the best at knowing how Nogari can be stronger, you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like Nogari is like the League of Legends equivalent to that guy that's played that RPG way too many times and has like data mined it and has like a giant spreadsheet as well. I've actually seen this video before. This is without an Impale, because that one's on cooldown. Canyon gets in through his tunnel. But you know what I mean? He just knows too much about how to make sure that everything is perfect, you know? That sort of level of play almost feels unnecessary, but feels like it is for Nogari.
Plays like this, the rewind I would here, because Live hits a Q onto Beryl and Peanut shows up, but Beryl doesn't have to care. QSS not needed. The ult's still down from Peanut, so that's the sort of pressure that was relieved from the ult from QSS earlier. DWG still leashing this Drake. What are we going to see here? Nogari.
Yep, 3 have been tagged there by Ruler's ultimate. It is going to be the Rek'Sai taking down the Dragon, but they do lose the Shen for it. The Impale comes down, and Nogari has to try and take someone down if he wants to keep himself alive at the World Ender, but he was looking for a flash out instead of a way to take someone with him. Doesn't actually happen. That's going to be 2 dead for DAMWON's trade for that Cloud Drake.
Yeah, DAMWON, unfortunately, not using their pieces very well, that they were backed into a corner. They couldn't burst one person. Their hope is that LeBlanc and Rek'Sai burst one person. The Aatrox gets an assist and then runs wild. But that didn't happen here because Shen was done very early. They had 2 different calls on how they wanted to play it out, and in the end conspired for their own demise. So they get a nice shutdown, at least a farm shutdown onto the Aatrox, they back away, and Gen.G still very competitive in the gold league.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the True Shot barrage was just absolutely huge from Ruler. Tagging 3 people with that ability nowadays is almost lights out when you don't have true front lines in the squad that doesn't necessarily have that. As we have a look at it once again, it's just a huge chunk. Nuclear didn't have the spell shield.
But the moment that you then take that chunk and hide back into this area, you're kind of done. Barrel walks up trying to make something happen. He can't do it. Everyone who has flash uses it. And then Noguri never gets enough damage from his teammates in order to actually be able to utilize his ult.
Another ult does come out here from Ruler. As Barrel's looking to set up some vision. So much bottom side vision. 4 control wards.
That's new Atlas.
What's that?
It's Super Soaker LeBlanc.
Aha!
No pool party skin for it just yet, but GLP as the choice of the lost chapter.
We've seen a lot of GLPs actually. It was GLP first item on Talia as well, and I've normally seen that item paired up with the Glacial Augment, but apparently you don't need it.
There was Talia builds in the past where that happened. I believe the first we saw was in 2016. Crown was loving GOP Talia. It went out of the meta, went in. Luke was just the afterthought shot after the nerf onto the Seraphs many, many moons ago. But GOP with Domination Tree is often kind of an interesting one because you can go into Ingenious Hunter and get the cooldown pretty low.
Yeah.
And it's another nuke, it's another kind of pseudo AP ratio, so I don't hate it, it's just very different of a choice.
CQV is actually feeling more and more comfortable underneath this turret as he gets dove on once again. Nuclear in trouble here as Life and Ruler are looking for it. They do find Barrel. Ultimate's going to come down. On the hunt is there, but Peanut should be able to get it. Good stun comes in, doesn't even need the Impale. And Gen.G have done more. They've just stayed away from Noguri, and that seems to be the way to win.
Draw inside the map. What was our pre-match 1v1 featured matchup? It was in fact the carry of DAMWON, top carry DWG Gaming Noguri, and bot lane carry Ruler from Gen.G, and the battle lines are being drawn, and so far Gen.G playing them better.
Well, Showmaker should be able to distort over this wall if he wants to, so Gen.G not going to be able to chase down the LeBlanc, as Noguri underneath this turret is looking for QV. Good flash. Gets him out of the way. This inner turret is very, very low as Canyon's trying to find his way out. Showmaker, great positioning on this map to make sure that Gen.G couldn't wrap around. They're trying to put on the pressure, but the most important thing here for Gen.G fans is the fact that DAMWON weren't actually able to get any objectives.
And in the 4v4, if Aatrox and GP are not there, you lose the 1900 gold lead. Remember, it's the overall gold lead to Gen.G. The 1900 gold lead, and the Cannon Barrage will be present. So you actually heavily win 4v4s to Gen.G when top laner isn't there. So it's really all about Noguri here. Is consider also, better part of 4,000 gold has been dumped into QSSs.
Yeah, so it's actually not quite as close as we may originally assume.
People have been asking me about QSS. I reviewed a game yesterday where it was 4 QSSs, and that meant that there wasn't enough damage to actually get the boot to TL, who had the 4 QSSs. And in that game, I said, this is too many QSSs. But because this is a true 4-1 game, the 4 actually do need QSSs, where Aatrox isn't. And that's the awkward part, is they kind of have to dump this money, and it does leave them effectively way behind as well.
And the scary thing is, I mean, Nuclear does, of course, have his spell shield in order to try and nullify the Impale, but it is really difficult because Skarner has so many ways to pop the spell shield before getting in there and actually pressing the R button, so he will need to get one, despite the fact that Sivir does have those options. QV's dead underneath this turret, most likely. The teleport is going to come in. Noguri's still looking for it. The flash is going to come forward. Now he's able to get that revive, and the Bloodwell is going to be utilized. 30% of the health bar actually looks absolutely gigantic here as Kuzan does have the World Ender of his own. Can they do it? They do manage to get one, and Kuzan wasn't even dying then. Had access to the World Ender anyway. The answer is good from Gen.G.
Struggles real to actually get the kill, but they eventually trade up again in terms of kills, and DWG Gaming don't have the ability to make Gen.G pay on the other side of the map. No Baron start from DWG. Too squishy to do that.
Unfortunately here as well, I mean, you've got a lot of block on the wave clear. So a few of these minions do get in, and some turret damage does happen there in the mid lane. Peanut's going to be able to take down this Ocean Drake, and unfortunately for Gen.G fans, we've got the wrong Drakes this game. If there was a couple of Infernal Drakes, Gen.G would be feeling much better with the control that they've had earlier on. Let's have a look at this one again, though. Because QV just sort of started with almost no help.
Look, the matchup is no longer tenable 1v1, that part is known, but both sides know that, and Gen.G this game have been better about making things happen with the data point of, alright, the 1v1 isn't working in mind. And that's what they're able to do, they're able to respond. DWG, if you notice, not doing really anything on the map, while this very extended kill takes forever to kill the Dam.
Yeah.
Aatrox to the depths, Dance and all the other amps, healing he has going on, but time wasn't of the essence because DWG Gaming couldn't make them pay.
Well, now Gen.G hanging around towards this Baron Pit area. And DWG is going to come in. They're starting yet another fight. And it feels like Gen.G have found some ergs, Papa Smithy. They have found some proactive plays around this map. They keep this minion wave alive. Peanut tanked that one up. And the outer turret finally does fall in trade to the outer on the bottom.
And they actually make the 3 pay. It's not that easy to make specifically Sivir 3-mans in a 1-3-1 pay because of her extended wave clear, and she's most of the way towards 3 items. But if you zone her away, then you don't have the Ricochet Q in order to clear a minion wave. So nicely done by Gen.G. They weren't greedy. They knew what they wanted, and what they wanted was the mid lane turret.
Well, now Noguri able to take down that turret. He's going to head back home. We'll see whether that's a Sterix Gauge that he's opted in for as far as his 3rd item. It is going to be. That one's finished off. See what it is next. Could, of course, be GA. Gives a little bit more opportunity for DAMWON to be able to pick up a kill before Noguri is actually able to utilize that World Ender. And Nuclear clears out the wave very, very easily, like you said. Not quite Infinity Edge built up just yet. And I do like the fact you mentioned too many QSSs as being a term, and I was talking about Nuclear needing one eventually. I think it's very good that he gets to 3 items as quickly as possible, because he is very clearly part of this win condition and almost all of their consistent damage if Noguri is not there.
And I think it's a difficult thing too, so it's a very nuanced point, because you see Skarner, you build QSS, kind of very simple point, and it's, this is the champion. The demands of Malzahar, of course, very much suppression effects and QSS, and very old.
Warwick, of course.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As we see him all the time.
I just don't think about him at all. Right. But you also have to say, am I going to be in range of Skarner if we follow our game plan? That's very relevant in pro games. Because it's 1v1 and 4v4 with battle lines drawn in this game, the 4 do need it. In other game types, you might be able to skip over.
Well, it's a big test now as DWG are grouped up as 5. Barrels slowed as Peanut is thinking about it. Okay, not going to be able to find too much. Ruler getting dove on in the backline, but Life actually helping him very, very well with that door being put up. Showmaker just takes half of his health bar. Noguri looking to go back down bottom side, and Gen.G do manage to dissipate the pressure.
Once again, this game goes on. DWG have the Aatrox, and they have the fact that Sivir with items is, again, a very well-known thing. Those items aren't there now. Ezreal is very, very strong already in this game. We'll see if it's a Bloodthirster or a GA as the next purchase to round out the 4-item build. And how many more objectives can Noguri realistically split push? There's a difference between Aatrox and Fiora when they're in that 1v1.
Precisely. Right now it still looks a little bit scary here for QV. You can see he's still taking a lot of damage. Noguri with his brown bag still being worn.
He's hurting him, but he's not actually solo killing him under turrets, and he's not being able to cancel his auto and blow up a turret with a Trinity Force. And because he doesn't have those things, yes, you're incrementally losing as QV, but you're not actually losing major objectives.
Back's going to be stopped here from Ruler. Barrel here in the mid lane. I don't think too much is going to be gained from that. We'll see whether Nuclear is actually up to the Infinity Edge, and he is. That is 3 items done. DWG Gaming's 80 carry. Now time to build a QSS, I think. Does have that control ward in his back pocket as well. So DWG actually feeling like there is going to be a moment coming up where they're happy to take some sort of team fight. Sivir is in one of those power spikes that few carries actually get to. This is a really, really scary point. DWG's comp is Canyon's very far up, and it's Life that's ganking him, so it's going to be okay.
Need to group with Noguri. The dream from Gen.G is to blow Noguri's teleport and then try to play the map. Here's a Sivir ult.
Yep, Hunt comes in. Peanut actually flashing forward for that impale. Cannon Barrage comes down. Good knock up onto Kuzan, who gets into the backline. It's the Aatrox that's already dead, though, as Beryl is going to follow suit. QV turning up late, but better late than never, buddy. They are going to be able to win this fight. It's the Shen that goes down. Showmaker now slowed. And that is going to be yet another one. Nope, that was in fact, just the hallucination version of the LeBlanc. And now Gen.G have their eyes on the Baron, and I don't know what DAMWON are going to be able to do. Canyon still alive, has a smite, but can he get anywhere near this pit?
Surely not with these numbers involved. Here's the TP, LeBlanc coming back, still only 3 members. Nogri 20 seconds so he can TP in.
Yep, Canyon, of course, has a lot of different ways to get into this Baron pit as well. This is certainly going to be a 50-50, huge Mimic distortion into the backline as well as Nuclear, doing so much damage. That's the Void Rush coming out. Ruler is going to be taken down, traded for the jungler, but the Baron is stopped by DAMWON.
That was super effective given the resources they had. They only had 3 members to fight. They don't lose Baron, they kill Ruler. That's a huge amount of gold that goes down to the Rek'Sai as well, and DAMWON even get the favorable minion wave timing in mid.
Yeah, that is going to be objective trade going in favor of DAMWON, so once again, we're in a 1,000 gold game. Feels much better for Gen.G than it was in game number 1. However, this is still edgy of seat stuff.
Nogri should never need QSS at this point in the game, but he groups his first grouping of the game, and good call from Gen.G. Flash on him, ult him, kill him before he can get a revive, and that just means that DAMWON fall apart on the grouping there. So sadly, not playing to not having a QSS, something you have to do. If you don't have it, don't play like you do. The bluff is called. However, speaking of bluffs, the Baron player from Showmaker is level 16. We know about Mimic distortions. It causes a ruckus, and then Canyon gets mad.
Yep. Canyon finds it. This is exactly what he needed to do. That's a heads-up play there from Canyon. Sacrifices his life. He gets rid of all the consistent damage. Gen.G still playing really far up, as Beryl is honestly feeling like half a champion at this point. The Shen has not paid off so far for DAMWON. Does have Stand United, but QSSs, we've got 5 of them now, Papa Smithy.
That's right. Put it all together, 1,300 times 2. Well, that's 2,600 times it by 2 on top. That's 4 of them, 5,200. We've got a better part of 5,500 gold.
Yeah.
More than that even, worth of QSSs. We've got a lot going on
6.5, something
That's
like
right.
that. It's another Cannon Barrage, gets the flash out of Nuclear. On the hunt is now available for Kuzan. The chase is most certainly on. It's gone. He's going to come forward. There's a true shot barrage as Ruler gets it done. Now Canyon taken down for the double kill, and Gen.G say, yep, you reckon you could stop this one with a couple of picks, including your jungler.
The Sivir ult there was so big they could chase. There's no way up in Nuclear. Now they're on Baron a second time. Surely they can't lose this one.
Well, Nogri is alive this time. The Baron is getting taken down very low. We don't have any of these blue trinkets. Kuzan outplays Showmaker as he props his way forward, and the Baron is taken. Peanut smites that one away. He's got so much tankiness, does this Skarner. He has sacrificed everything other than making sure that in the right moment he is unkillable. And this is just Ruler playing aggressively, and the rest of the team following up really, really well.
And the game plan of sacking top side, even though Nogari is our laning top laner, and making it work elsewhere on the map is working out. It's working really well for Gen.G in game number 2. Silas has been able to stay super relevant with different ults over time. The Shen ult, as we mentioned, could be a big one later because at some point, you just can't kill Ruler. He can frontline, and he gets 1,000+ shield from the AP stealing Shen ultimate.
Yeah, and I think that the utility variety of the Silas play is actually going to be hyper relevant. We were talking about King and Silas earlier on in our first series of the day, and that was all pop blossoms. It was all gigantic amounts of damage. Silas is the center of our team composition, but Kuzan is never going to be the center of this team composition, right? The Ezreal's the one that's doing all of this damage. He's got an extra BS sword on top of his 4 items that are already completed. He is gigantic. And so now, being able to provide him, like you say, that gigantic AP-based Stand United shield is really huge. It's in goes Showmaker, diving over the wall. He lands some chains to the Cannon Barrage. Once again in a great position. Nogri now 1 versus 4. It's not what you want. The Sterix is going to keep him alive as he flashes over the wall. But now Showmaker is out of position. Kuzan dives forward, and Q-Baited shoots him in the head. No more Showmaker. Gen.G are able to take down this inner turret, and with a Baron buff, they should be able to break open the base.
No more 4-1 comp. We're just team fighting, and with all these ultimates with the Baron buff, nothing DWG Gaming can do.
Nope. They may even push even further here on the side of Gen.G.
Go for the win.
Yeah, can they actually get any more? Beryl diving on in. Could get there as Canyon is going to return to this battle, but without Showmaker there, it's so difficult. They take down the first Nexus turret. DWG have to make a move. No World Ender for Nogari. There are a lot of cooldowns that just aren't available. Beryl gets a bit of his health bar back, but that's just going to be taken down so quickly, and Canyon is dead. as an afterthought. Kuzan finishes that off, and now the Nexus is going to go. They might get a few kills just for the fun of it as Beryl's going to fall. Cuvée grabs yet another one. Noguri on the fountain is not where this man wants to be, and Gen.G even up the series.
The adaptations were minute, but they were successful from the side of Gen.G, and it wasn't looking like it was on the cards after the first 10 to 15 minutes where Peanut was just watching on, but eventually it all slided into place, and I feel like Gen.G were able to put together some really smart moves around the 4, and the Aatrox was winning till it wasn't. It felt like they couldn't get any effectiveness out of it when it could no longer have inner turret threat and also move over to a team fight. So Gen.G, it was a very Gen.G-like victory, but it gets them their first victory, and even just a best of one over DWG Gaming in the entirety of 2019.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it's fantastic that they didn't just fall over after what was a really rough spring split as well. Remember, this is a lot of mind games for Gen.G going up against DAMWON, just with how abysmal things were against this squad in particular in the earlier seasons. So to be able to pick up this win is gigantic, and now with momentum moving into game number 3, there is a large chance that they can actually make something happen despite side selection really changing things here, because Red Side, I think, is just so strong for a team like DAMWON that want to get Noguri into those very good matchups.
When it comes to that Game 3 drop, I tend to agree with you, Atlas. How do you deal with that Red Side 5th pick? However, a lot of baggage for Gen.G, even after the first 10 minutes where it's like, oh, that's a lot of solo kill potential for the Aatrox, and yet Peanut stepped up, had very high kill participation by the end. They waited for their time, and yes, were they lucky? Were they fortunate? Would another team have killed the game? Maybe. All we can say is that Gen.G made the small adaptations that they could between Game 1 and Game 2. They trusted in the process of playing outside of just Cuvé's lane, and in summation, it was successful.
It was, and he did more damage than Noguri as well, which is not what a lot of people can actually boast. Of course, the Ezreal doing the most damage in the game, 10,000 over his lane opposition, who was a sipper, no slouch as far as doing damage is concerned, but this is Ruler's Ezreal. He's very good at eking out every bit of damage, and you bet your bottom dollar, if Gen.G are winning a game, it is because Ruler is able to do damage. That is just straight up how it works, and of course he's going to be able to grab that MVP as well. Do you vote for Ruler for MVP?
How could you not?
I definitely did as well. We are going to have a short break, ladies and gentlemen, before the deciding game from day number 1 of LCK Summer. Do not go anywhere. We'll be back to see who is going to be able to take it, whether it's Gen.G or DAMWON. Red side, is it going to be super powerful, or is the momentum of Gen.G